Trick or treat.
You look great. Here, take the last ones.
Oh, wow, thanks, mister.
Go on, be off with you now. Have a nice night.
Yeah, you have a nice night too. Bye.
You alright, mate? Trick or treat?
No.
What do you mean, no?
How old are you? You're not even dressed. Go on, be off with you. And don't be throwing eggs at me house. Jesus Christ. Oh, who now is it? Oh.
I am Kasavan of the Lupari. I have come for you.
Okay. Nice costume.
What did you say?
Looks cool. Oh! You're a real mama's boy, aren't you? Ugh.
Nobody talks about me mother like that. Yes, I am as bad as that vampire from Vampires of Venice. Right, on with the review. Stupid humans.
She's back. They're back. It's back. It's Doctor Who time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 13, Episode 1, Flux, Chapter 1, The Halloween Apocalypse. So, like the Trial of a Time Lord, this series of Doctor Who is one big part story. It's a 6-part story across each of the 6 episodes. So, like Trial of a Time Lord was a 14-part story. Except Trial of a Time Lord was the Trial of a Time Lord parts 1, 2, 3, etc. Whilst Doctor Who Flux is Doctor Who Flux, Chapter 1, title of the episode, Chapter 2, title of the episode, etc. So, So these reviews will be done, like, as I mentioned in the reaction, like with how Trial of a Time Lord, it's 4 segments, how they had their own separate reviews. I did a review of Mysterious Planet, Mind Warp, etc. for that. That's how we'll do things here, with each episode of Flux getting its own review, even though it's one big story. But I'm not going to do one big review for the whole series. I'll do one review per episode. And the same for Torchwood Children of Earth and Miracle Day. If I do any Torchwood reviews on the Retro channel, and Class episodes 4 and 5, if I would do Revisitation reviews of those, which will be on this channel, by the way. So, the Halloween Apocalypse, the first part of the Flux story. So the plot of Flux as a series is that there is this mysterious thing called the Flux that's coming in and trying to destroy the universe. So the Doctor, Yaz, and her new companion, their new friend Dan, have to try and find out what's going on and try to stop it, whilst also this creature called the Swarm is engineering all of this in an attempt to fight the Doctor and destroy her before she is able to incarcerate his earlier self. Her later self is able to incarcerate his earlier self in a prison at the beginning of the universe to be held there for all eternity, which in this episode he escapes from and renews himself to be a more younger version. So I suppose technically he kind of regenerates by, I believe it's a member of the Division who we were introduced to in the last series. He kills a member of the Division and uses some of them to able to renew himself, to go from playing by one actor into a played by another actor. So I guess it kind of regenerated. That's how I took how I took it. So, yeah, the flux is causing all sorts of problems across the universe. It's bringing all of these creatures from time and space all together to take part in this mysterious event. More on this as we go along in the series. The first episode, the Halloween Apocalypse, is basically the key start of this event as the swarm escapes from its prison, held by who it is by the looks of it are the Division. They look like they're Time Lord Gallifreyan soldiers. They have those guns that the fugitive Doctor had in Fugitive of the Jadoon. So I presume they're members of the Division, and also the Doctor is searching for the Division. She's looking for them to find answers following the revelations from the last series. Hopefully this means we'll actually get some fucking answers this series. Otherwise, yikes. But it seems like the Doctor is looking for members of the Division. She's found this one called Carvanista, who's a member of this species called the Lipari, who are dog people, basically. Humanoid dogs. More on them later. But by the looks of it, the Division have held Swarm in this prison for about since the dawn of time. And now he's escaped, so he's now, after renewing himself and killing the Division members, he's now causing this flux thing, which is destroying whole civilizations. And it's now heading in the direction of Earth. So the Lipari, including Carvanista, try to rescue humans. There's 7 billion or so of them. So they have a human to rescue each and protect the human race from the flux. Before all of this starts, the Doctor and Yaz are on Carvanista's trail. In the Doctor's case, she's trying to find answers about the Division. Yaz doesn't know what's going on. She's just following from the Doctor. And we open up on a really cool scene where, I say really cool, in concept, where the Doctor and Yaz have been captured by Carvanista, and they're about to be dropped into a pool of acid on a planet that's about to be destroyed, and there's some killbots that might shoot them if they try to escape. It's a very Doctor Who-y opening. The episode I get most vibes from prior to this one with this type of opening is The Girl Who Died, with Clara trapped in the spacesuit and the spider in her suit, and the Doctor trying to rescue her in the TARDIS. It's a very type of Doctor Who openings where we just slap bang mid-adventure and we just have a fun, exciting pre-title sequence before we get to the main event. It feels very much like we're going back to basics, which is always a good thing. That being said, the visual effects. Oh boy, I didn't think they looked very good in the trailer, and they're a little less worse here, but yeah, those visual effects of the planet and the practical effects in front of the green screen, oh boy, they look very hokey. I mean, they have to film in front of a screen to get this planet, and also fucking COVID, meaning that they'd have a lot more studio-bound filming, so we're going to get a lot more sets or green screen stuff. But yes, this planet looks like one of the weaker CGI planets. Christ on a bike. This classic series had the opposite problem, where the sets didn't always look convincing, or they would have not very good visual effects that you could tell weren't very good because they were early development VFX. But it's 2021, and the special effects are actually looking pretty weak here as well. The visual effects, at least in the first scene with the planet background, it's a little bit hokey. Which is odd. We usually be using this complaint against Classic Who, but no, it's still going to this day. I think the visual effects throughout the Chibnall era as a whole have been a little overdone in some places. They've upped the amount of CG that they've needed in places, like some of the regeneration effect and the Jadoon gun in Fugitive of the Jadoon, for example. They've upped it a little bit from what it was earlier, and whilst it could be seen as improving the effects, it also seems to be increasing the amount of it. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with the visual effects department. Dodgy visual effects and background aside, the opening is really fun and really engaging and entertaining, and it sets off the episode onto a really good and fun start. Also, Phasmin fans will enjoy this scene, as it sees the Doctor and Yasmin handcuffed and in bed together at the very end of the scene. Well, just before the very end of the scene, technically. Oh boy, the Not My Doctors are gonna hate that. Oh, and for those wondering what the Doctor and Yaz are handcuffed in bed together, Watch the scene, it makes sense. It will make sense when you watch the scene. The episode then starts properly, and we're introduced to this man Wilkinson, I believe, who is he's a historical character. He's a real life person who dug tunnels under Liverpool after the death of his wife as some way of battling his grief, and also to give poor people and returning soldiers from wars, possibly the Crimean, possibly other wars, and the Crimean would then therefore tie in with next week, by the way, to help give them wages, give them work, give them money, and they just dig tunnels under Edge Hill. But most of them don't know what he was digging tunnels for, why he was digging tunnels all under Liverpool. It might be, I think the theory is a coping mechanism, but he didn't really have a set plan of what to do with the tunnels once they'd been built. Some of them have been used by the railway, but that's really about it as far as I'm aware. We're introduced to him briefly in this episode, along with someone questioning him, and we see him at the end of the episode as well, but he plays no actual part in this episode's plot. He might be more important in a later episode, but as of episode 1, he's just basically here to be introduced, and that's it. We could have had his scenes delayed to, let's say, episode 4, for example. If his episode, I don't know when he's going to be quite important to the story, but let's say episode 4, for example. He's important for episode 4. We should have saved these scenes for then, or maybe episode 3. But episode 1, it really is just here to be the introduction to the character. Yeah, this is a 6-part story, and he might pop up later. But, no, scratch that, he is going to pop up later. But it does feel weird just having these 2 scenes with him, one scene and a flashback shot, and flashback montage shot, not flashback, montage, a shot in a montage, and that's about it for this character for this episode. He plays no role in the rest of the episode. We're then introduced to Dan Lewis, played by John Bishop, and whilst Bradley Walsh and Graham O'Brien were just absolutely amazing as actor and character respectively, Dan Lewis, in one episode, played by John Bishop, might now be my second favourite 13th Doctor companion after Graham O'Brien, Bradley Walsh. And he's in one episode, he brings charm and charisma to his character, just like Bradley Walsh did to Graham O'Brien. I think with Todd and Cole and Mandip Gillis, Ryan and Yaz, it did take them some time to build up their characters, but with, just like Graham and also Grace, with just like them, Dan is just off the mark straight away. I really like Dan as a character in this episode. He's a very good character, and he's also a nice personality. He's a caring kind of guy, but he also wants to help out a bit more. He's got enthusiasm about history, and he's definitely a Lancastrian type of guy. He's not really a fan of Yorkshire, or specifically Leeds, and he's funny without forcing it down the throats. It helps having a comedian in the role for this character, a comedian who's also an actor, and John Bishop does a really brilliant performance playing Dan. In one episode, like 2 or 3 scenes, I love this character and I love the actor. He is amazing, and I think he's the best part of the episode. I would say that, yeah. It's the best part of the episode. He's such a great character. I look forward to seeing him in the rest of the series and the 3 specials that follow. I think he is definitely going to be in the 3 specials. And yeah, he's amazing. I love Dan Lewis. I love John Bishop. My opinion on the character could change over the remaining 8 episodes he appears in. But as of episode 1, I love him. He's my second favourite companion already after of the 13th Doctor's era, after Graham O'Brien. And John Bishop is my second favourite main actor of the era after Bradley Walsh. But I don't know if Bradley Walsh could be topped, but damn, John Bishop is a close second. He's really close, really like him. Also, he has a girlfriend. I can't remember her name. It's not Claire, that's another character. He has a girlfriend who works at the museum. Oh, and fun fact, she has a disability. Her right arm, she was born without a right arm. It's kind of a birth thing that people happen. Technically, she's considered a disabled character, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. It's like, oh, noticed, right. Onto the plot, basically. yeah, just a quick mention. Anyone who's basically criticizing the casting of that woman just because she doesn't have a right arm, and it's basically saying, ew, tick boxing because she's a disabled person. Fuck off. Now! Because any person who says that is a cunt. And simply, some people did have complaints that they cast a woman, a disabled person, and there's a scene where she doesn't have control of her body when she's being brought into this house. Now, that is an argument I would agree with, but I do have this wonder whether they actually wrote the character having a disability in the first place. I'm just wondering whether it's a writing thing or a casting thing. You know, the casting division have their own say over the characters if there isn't anything specific from the writer or from the producers or the director. If there isn't really a specific thing, they can make their own decisions, and they can look at different people saying, oh, who's best for the role, etc. Who do we want? This woman could have been just chosen through casting rather than the character saying she has a disability and they chose a disabled actor through that. I could be completely wrong. It could be a writing thing. I don't know. I'm not part of the bloody production team. I bloody wish I was, but I'm not. And that's also why I can't be paid by the BBC to say nice things, because I'm not. It's not the truth. But yeah, I don't know whether it was a writing thing or a casting thing, but I'm going to say I'm not going to give Chris Chibnall 100% flack for that scene where the disabled woman is not in control of her body by the mysterious force that brings her in there. I'll talk about it later, hopefully. But let's say if he did write a disabled character doing that, then yes, you do have an issue with the writing on that bit. But if it was casting, then it's a unfortunate coincidence and just something that might have been overlooked and may not have been avoidable. But if it was on a writer's point of view, I wouldn't say it wouldn't be intentionally insulting, but it is dodgy, let's say. But yeah, that's my stance. If it might have been a casting thing rather than a writing thing for that whole situation. But as for the anti-disabled person being in the series at all, those people are cunts. Heck, being disabled isn't even a physical thing, and it's more common than you think. I've got Asperger's, which is a form of autism, and I've got some mild autism there, and I've got asthma as well, which is a health issue thing. So I guess I don't know if I can be counted as being disabled, but I definitely got some sort of hidden disability. I suppose, yeah, I guess I count as a hidden disability rather than a physical one. In fact, I wear this. I wear these things from the sunflower scheme. I support the sunflower scheme because, well, I don't wear them all the time, but I wear them like when I'm out most of the time. Not necessarily when I'm walking, but like when I'm at work or at the cinema or something. But yeah, when I'm usually out of the house, I will take one of these with me and show that I have a hidden disability and I support the sunflower scheme. So yeah, so those people who are saying disabled people shouldn't be on television, that is offensive to disabled people, whether physical or hidden, mental, hidden, etc. It is absolutely disgusting and, yeah, disgusting and offensive. Stop it. And anyone in the comments who's going to criticize the casting of that woman just because she was disabled, and it's not been based on the fact on that scene where she doesn't have control of her body, by the way, because I kind of agree with you there, depending on whose fault it was. But if you're going to just criticize her for being disabled and being a disabled person in the story and supposed box ticking, just fuck off and never come back. You are banned for life on this channel. Right, I hope those bastards are gone, because I've got all of you lovely people who aren't bastards. You're lovely. I love you. You're the good people. You're the nice ones. You're the people who don't have a go at people just for having a disability. or for the color of their skin, or for their gender, or their sexual preferences. You're the people who are nice to others most of the time, but that's fine for now. So if you're still here and you're a good person, thank you. You're lovely. I love you. Yeah, I was just addressing anybody who would actually say such a nasty thing. Honestly, that it's happened. What's it? Time of recording. It's Friday the 5th of November. It's been 6 days. It's happened. Of course, it's going to bloody happen. It's the bloody internet, and there's Nazis out there, evil men and women, but mostly men, evil people. The character I was talking about as a character, she's quite a likeable person. We don't get much of her, but from what we see, she's quite likeable, and I like to see where they go with her in the latest series. I think episode 4 might do something with her. 3 or 4 might do something with her and Dan. I'm not quite sure. From what I've heard of the rumours over the last year, they might do something with her. I'm not quite sure. Dan's parents are also set to appear in the series, and it's theorised one of them might knock us on Tara on the back of their neck in the next episode. But that's what we'll discover later on in the series. There's also this character called Claire, who again is basically here for setup. She says, "Oh, I know you," to the Doctor and Yaz at one point when they meet up, and then she gets zapped by an angel later on. I think she's going to play a more important role later on, both in the past and future context. In fact, when I watched the episode again for the second time, I did wonder, wait, is this future Claire, and she's already been zapped by the angels? But no. She knows she knows not to blink when she sees the weeping away angel again at the house. If it was a younger Claire, she wouldn't know that. So it must be the Claire who just talked to the Doctor and Yaz. So we're going to have 2 different Claires pop up in the future, past when she meets the Doctor and Yaz for the first time for her, and future who's been zapped by the angel. Again, we see in the montage her and Dan's girlfriend being involved as characters in this episode. We also are introduced to Swarm's sister, I believe. No, I can't remember her name, but we're introduced to his sister and also what appears to be her husband or boyfriend, who is then killed by Swarm. And then the woman, I think she was hiding as a human woman, but then is revealed to be Swarm's sister. This could have been a division thing to hide her from Swarm or something. I don't know. Maybe it'll be revealed next week or in one of the following 4. I don't know yet. It is a bit of a strange that it is just going to all of these places. Actually, no, scratch that. Of course, it's not strange. It's Chris Chibnall's era. It's not strange at all. But going to all of these characters and places, and it's basically set up for the story. It's a big, giant setup. And because we're introducing so many characters who are going to play a role in this story, hopefully, it does feel like we're introducing too many characters in the first episode. We need to space this out. Like I said, with the Williamson scenes, maybe they should have been saved for later in the series, because then they could be more important for his episode or episodes, his part of the story. The Claire stuff could have been important for later on, but maybe we should have saved some of that for later. The Arctic Circle stuff, that's probably going to be more relevant later. Well, the character who was up there, she's probably going to be more important later. The main focus of this episode is the stuff with Carvanista, with the Doctor and Yaz rescuing Dan from Carvanista, and some pretty cool scenes where they investigate his house and then they go up to Carvanista's ship, and the Doctor's also inquiring about the division, and Yaz rescues Dan. It's worth noting that Yaz is no longer a police officer, supposedly, so either she's left to go full-time travelling with the Doctor, or, I don't know, maybe she just presumes she's let go because she's going away so much. But yeah, well, it looks like we're never going to have much Yaz police skills after all. At least we're not going to get Yaz using her police skills in this series as much, because she's not a police officer. She might use them from what she knows from training, but yeah, never mind about that character detail from the last 2 series. Oh, obviously Chibnall thought, since they didn't really use it that much, they might as well not bother doing it anymore. Maybe he did listen to the criticisms from the fans and decide, you know what, if we're not going to focus on it, let's just drop it. Makes sense. Disappointing, but makes sense. Anyway, so the Doctor, Yaz, and Dan try to escape, but the Flux comes. They find the Flux, and it comes after them, so they have to get Carvanista and the Lupari to help stop the Flux. Hang on, Lupari, and they're dog people. Lupari, dog people. Lupari is like a play on Lupin, or which is I think is Latin for wolf. Lupari, Lupin, wolf. Have you been sleeping with the doctor again? Anyway, the Lupari are able to shield Earth. Instead of taking all the humans away, they shield Earth with their ships, which are built to withstand anything the Flux throws at them, and they're able to survive. But the Flux comes after the TARDIS, which is unable to get behind the Earth shield. FYI, there seems to be something going on with the TARDIS. Seems to be something wrong with caused by the swarm. Where there was rumours across the year, by the way, that the TARDIS might be dying, and that's why Kasavan from Spyfall could get inside, for instance, or the Jadoon in Timeless Children. And Jack and the Doctor, when they teleport in Revolution of the Daleks, it seems like the TARDIS is dying and letting down its defences. By the looks of it, the swarm is doing something to the TARDIS, or the Flux is doing something to the TARDIS, where it seems to be malfunctioning, going wrong. The doors are all over the place, and there's black goo coming off the walls, and it won't go behind this Lupari shield. It seems to be in distress. The Doctor uses one last thing to protect him from the Flux, with using the vortex energy from the heart of the TARDIS. She doesn't specifically say heart of the TARDIS, but let's presume it's the heart of the TARDIS from Series 1, to try and stop the Flux coming to get at them, but doesn't seem to work. Well, of course it does work, otherwise it would be the last episode. But no, next episode, it probably send them back in time to the Crimean War, and that's probably when the Sontarans invade, alongside present-day Liverpool. Oh yeah, the Sontarans are in this as well. They were introduced in the last 10 minutes, and yeah, they look pretty cool. The new designs look interesting. Dan Starkey plays one of them. I think he's the one in the hologram, and he's pretty great. He's the go-to actor to play the Sontarans, basically. Like, Paul Casey is the go-to guy to play multiple monsters. Nicholas Briggs is the go-to guy to voice the monsters, especially the Daleks. Barnaby Edwards is the go-to guy to be the Dalek operator. So there's a couple go-to guys when it comes to monsters. If you want a really tall one, can't remember his name, but he played the Minotaur and Skaldak in Series 6 and 7. He's a go-to guy for a really tall monster guy person. Anyway, interesting to see the Sontarans back in their new design. It's mostly setting up their appearance next episode, but they're going to be characters we're going to see play out more in the episode, so we'll get more time to show how they're involved. And of course, Sontarans being Sontarans, they would want to take part in this event. They would not miss out on the opportunity to take part in the Flux. It's war, so they're going to have fun battling in the Flux. On a production and visual level, by the way, because we can't just talk about the story, we've got to talk about the production and how the episode was made. It's a review after all. Production-wise, the sets look great, the locations look great, the visual effects, besides that the start, are mostly pretty great throughout the episode. The start one is just a little bit dodgy, as I mentioned earlier, in detail. But yeah, it's a nice visual episode. It looks some really cool angles and pretty cool visuals across the episode. I really liked Jamie Magnus Stone's direction of the episode and how he's able to craft this very all over the place story. I'm not going to say it's a mess just yet because it's only episode 1. I actually think it's kind of handled well. Then again, I thought that was Spyfall and Fugitive of Jadoon. Whilst on reflection, they are quite messy episodes. I think that is one problem with Chris Chibnall's writing post Series 11, is that his episodes just the stories of his era, apart from some exceptions like the historicals, they cram a lot into their episodes. And this time round, it might work because it's a 6-part story rather than 1 or 2, and they can do multiple different things across each 6 episodes, so long as it all ties well together. And I think if it does, this will be something quite special. But on the other hand, if it doesn't work, if all of this stuff just ends up being too much for this story, even for a 6-part story, even for 6 hours, the equivalent of a 12-part with Classic Who's, it's basically Dalek's Master Plan. The equivalent of the Dalek's Master Plan, and if it has too much going on, it might actually burst like Series 12 did. Even Dalek's Master Plan, which is my favourite story of the Hartnell era, it's still a bit too long. And that's not even including, actually, that does include Feast of Stephen. But even if you take Feast of Stephen out, then it's still maybe one episode too long. And then you've also got Mission to the Unknown, the prologue episode as well. That makes it 13 episodes, technically. So, yeah, this series, like Master Plan didn't burst, but it was a bit too long. But like Series 12, Series 13 could burst with too much going on. And I feel like if it doesn't tie it all up nicely in a nice little bow, maybe some things left over for the specials, but for the most part, it's all neatly tucked up. Everything from this series, plus maybe a few things from the last two. If it's all comes together really nicely by the end, we could be in for something special. But if it doesn't, we might be in for a very big mess. But I'm not gonna cry. It's a very messy episode yet. It's a very stuffed episode. There's a lot going on, but so long as it's able to wrap it all up by the end of episode 6, minus maybe some stuff left to the specials. But if it's able to wrap up most of what it can by episode 6, we might have something special this series. Hopefully, fingers crossed for the special wrapped up nicely little bow. Great, really loving this adventure story instead of the overstuffed mess that could be worse than last series. I know what I'd rather have, but this episode does feel like a victim of too much going on in places. But I won't say that's a criticism just yet. We'll just have to see how it goes throughout the series. Maybe at a later point in time, depends how it all works out. But as of right now, it works for the most parts. Maybe some of the introduction stuff could have been saved for later, like Williamson and Claire, and the stuff in the Arctic could have been expanded a bit more. Heck, take out Williamson and Claire, save them for later, and expand on the Arctic stuff, or wait until we reveal the sister of Swarm until a later episode, and she takes Dan's girlfriend away at a later point as well. Focus on the Swarm's breakout and the Kasavan subplot, and the introduction to Dan. And there you go. That's episode 1. Anyway, regardless of what happens in the future, the Halloween Apocalypse is a very good start to this series of Doctor Who. Flux, Series 13, Season 39. 39 seasons in the can. Well, it will be at the end. But yeah, I thought this was a great first episode to the series, and it's I think it's the best first episode of the Jodie Whittaker era so far, topping The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Then again, I laughed when I saw Spyfall the first time round, part 1. I mean, I did think, well, actually both parts. I thought Spyfall was better, but then on reflection, Woman Who Fell to Earth was better. But I think this one is probably going to stay my favourite of the 3, and I think it's my favourite series opener since the 11th Hour. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I thought The Woman Who Fell to Earth was a good one, but I think, yeah, this is my favourite series opener since the 11th Hour. Although not topping the 11th Hour, because the 11th Hour is the best series opener of the revived series, and one of the best of the show. So, the Halloween Apocalypse, or Flux, the Halloween Apocalypse, Chapter 1, the Halloween Apocalypse, a very good start to this series, providing the rest of the series is able to wrap up, or carry on and tie things up nicely, and this episode doesn't suffer on reflection like some of the other episodes of Series 12, including Spyfall Parts 1 and 2, because this episode has quite a lot going on, setting up so many characters and stuff for the rest of the series, and if it doesn't pay off very well on reflection, this episode might go down. It might not be so great, because it's all of this setup, and quite a lot of it is in this episode. But for right now, it is a very effective start to the series, and a really good and fun, enjoyable one. Hi everyone, Nick here. Initially I gave this episode score a 9 out of 10. However, on reflection, I haven't rewatched the episode since the second viewing for this review, but I will rewatch it for the ranking in a couple, hopefully in a week or two's time, a couple weeks. But I thought, on reflection, this episode maybe didn't quite get the 9 out of 10 levels. I think I was a bit too nice on it, even after the rewatch. So, on reflection, I think maybe this episode should be an 8 out of 10. So, I will be giving the Halloween Apocalypse an 8 out of 10. this episode could change again on a third viewing, which will be for the ranking. But I felt like this is one of the weaker episodes of the series. At the time this small segment being recorded, all 6 episodes have come out now, and I think this one's probably on the lower end. But I still think it's a really good episode. I think all of them are really good, apart from maybe Once Upon a Time, which I think is just good. But yeah, I thought this one was a very good start. But on reflection, I think it could have been a bit stronger. So that's why I've dropped it down to an 8 out of 10. Also, I prefer 2 other episodes, and I'm going to give those 8 out of 10s. I think, yeah. So I'm dropping this one down to an 8 out of 10. But my reasonings behind initially giving it a 9 still apply to why I give it an 8. But with the on rethinking about it, it might not be quite 9 out of 10 levels. But the points I gave to why I still stand by, but dropping down 1 place. But yeah, I still think the Halloween Apocalypse is a good start to this series. Okay, back to me to explain why I initially gave it a 9, but the points staying the same, but just for the change of score to the 8.
Yeah, I think it's a strong opening, but depending on how the series goes, some of the stuff in the episode might feel like is a bit too much for it. But if the rest of the series is able to tie it up really well, then it's forgiven. Just some nitpicks, but the rest of the series manages to fix that. We'll see how that goes. A couple of other nitpicks, as I mentioned throughout the review, but for the most part, this is a really fun and engaging story. It's definitely worth a watch solely for Dan and Carvanista, who's also fun. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about him. Yeah, he's quite a camp character. He's quite a silly character. He's a humanoid dog character. That's the point. He's supposed to be silly. He's supposed to be a campy character. It's basically someone you might see in classic Doctor Who, but with new series prosthetics and makeup and etc. Actually, it makes it look better, to be honest. And yeah, he's supposed to be a camp character. Yeah, he's supposed to be silly, but he's also supposed to be fun. And yeah, it's Doctor Who. You'd expect characters like him every now and again, especially if you're taking inspiration from the classic series. He's supposed to be silly. And yeah, for what he was a really fun and enjoyable character, and I really liked him. I thought he was great. And similarly, the design of the Swarm and his sister are also pretty cool. I look forward to seeing how they play into the story later on down the line as characters. This was really fun. Oh, and also Jodie Whittaker and Amanda Gill. Best chemistry between the two of them so far, and they're really great. And I really like, as I mentioned in the reaction, I liked how Yaz was questioning the Doctor in a moral, what are they doing, actions point of view, as opposed to the usual, oh, Doctor, what are you doing there? As opposed, that's what companions usually do, or that's what we imagined them to do. But in this time around, we got the whole, Doctor, are you sure you know what you're actually doing? I'm a bit worried for you type this time around, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the Doctor Yaz relationship builds, especially following on where they were at the end of Revolution of the Daleks, and how they go going forward, and also how Dan affects this relationship in the episodes going forwards. But yeah, I really liked the Doctor Yaz relationship in this story, and Jodie Whittaker and Amanda Gill, really great chemistry, and also really great performances so far. And I'm liking how the 13th Doctor as a character is getting more and more darker each series as we go along. I mean, maybe not to the extent of the 7th Doctor, but we're definitely getting a 7th Doctor-esque progression of the character from silly to begin with, a silly, goofy, more like high-hearted version of the character, to something a bit more dark and mysterious later on, although 13 does keep that more awkward, silly personality of her throughout the performance over time a bit more than the 7th Doctor did. His one was definitely a big shift across each of this series, as well. 13 has been shifting, but keeping it within character for the most parts. But yeah, that's the Halloween Apocalypse. What a great episode. Great way to start off Series 13, Flux. And yeah, so long as it all comes together really well by the end, yeah, it's a great one. And I think this series is going to be a great one. Hopefully. So, next time is Chapter 2,
of Flux, and it is called War of the Sontarans. It will be mostly set in the Crimean War. We'll get to meet Mary Sequel, who Horrible Histories fans should remember from a sketch with her and Florence Nightingale, and a song from the series, I think from Series 3 and Series 4, respectively. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how she's involved in it, because she's an underrepresented character in history. So I don't think we've had Florence Nightingale in the television series yet either, though. Maybe in expanded media, but certainly it'd be interesting to see Mary Sequel in in the next episode, and also see the Sontarans fight in the Crimean War, as well as what they're up to in present day Liverpool as well. Plus the continuing storyline with the Swarm, if he's in the episode. He wasn't listed in the Radio Times, but that could be a surprise appearance in there. And what's up with the Weeping Angels? Although that might be reserved for episode 3, and also whatever else is going on with this Flux stuff. So yeah, next time, War of the Sontarans, and the adventures of Flux continue throughout the next 5 weeks. Woo! So I'll see you all next time for War of the Sontarans, and then the following 4 weeks for the remainder of Flux. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Oh, and one more thing. Don't diss disabled people. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the Nicholas Payne YouTube channel. She's back. It's back. Damn it, Simon. She's back. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nikki, and welcome. No, start again. And so she's trying. So hopes. So it gives me mostly vibes. Most of the main episode I think the best visual effects have actually I think the visual. This actually makes the visual effects from the RTD and Moffat eras look all not dated. The opposite, timely. They look timely. Also, Phasmin fans will like it for the at least they'll like the last bit of the end. Is it Anna? No, that's someone else as well. Oh, yeah. Oh, just, she doesn't have a right arm. Okay, move on. Well, okay, didn't think. Okay, move on. But heck, disabled. Most people make. Right. So, as the character herself, she's quite a lot. There's an edit right there to include the reference to the future Nick. That's your cue to slot in some text and a picture of one of the Universal's videos you're going to do, and you have to say if you want to know more. If you want to know what I was talking about, what I was referring to, what that joke was about, go and watch this video. You know which one you're going to do. So yeah, you don't actually need me to tell you. I'm just giving you a reminder. And for those watching this video, that's that was the plan all along. But yeah. Anyway, it's a really cool. On a production vision, but so long as it's able to, bloody itty nose. But yeah, but I won't go say that is a but I won't. If this was maybe 7 episodes, maybe we could have done this in other episodes. Ah, fucking COVID. Oh well. Actually, no, I can't say that. Apart from fucking COVID. Overall. Anyway, I shall be giving Flux the Halloween Poor old Dan. There's one for the bloopers. Behind the scenes bonus. It's prepping the costume. But I'd still stand by the points to why I'd still stand by, even though I've dropped it down